There's ambition at the club. Under Mike Ashley, we're just going to say more of 12, 13 stuff every single season, just try and scrape those results in. I mean, that's not how you run a football club, that's not how you support a team. What, support a team all my life, or what? Just mediocrity.
This is why I've got every confidence we're staying up, because I think players will see how we're playing, how players are getting dealt with. I think seeing the ground getting sold out every game and how bouncing the ground is, who wouldn't want to come and play at this football club?
We're saying 19th in the league, but we need a new fun.
Can we get the gesture on this end?
Well, yes, hello and welcome to Behind the Leazes. We're in person this time. I think we've all been used to seeing each other on StreamYard or on Zoom or however it was, just on the cameras, but we have all actually met up. We do exist in real life. So we've got Andy, we've got Adam, we've got Rob, and we've got Ethan. Hello. So Ethan's the newest addition to the podcast. How have you found your sort of first few weeks on the pod?
Well, it's the first time as well I've met all of you in person, except for my friend Andy over there, who kindly brought me on board. So yeah, I've always wanted to do something like this, like a Newcastle podcast. I do a lot of fantasy football stuff, but to be honest, my real passion is talking about Newcastle, so it's really nice of you to let me talk such rubbish with you. So
sticking on the topic of fantasy football, how many players from Newcastle have you actually got in the fantasy football team?
Well, you expect me to say zero, weren't you? But the answer is I've got Callum Wilson in that team, and I had him from when he scored against Burnley and he scored against Norwich, so he got 9 points in both of those game weeks. There you go. So that's nice, isn't it? So yeah.
We've got Rob here as well.
Hello.
You're quite a sort of well-established name on YouTube, just like Adam as well. You've been wanting to do a podcast for a little while as well. Obviously, it's been a bit of a weird year, COVID, that sort of thing. Just that little sort of thing in the corner. But we're all here doing an in-person podcast. How are you feeling now that it's finally sort of coming into?
Good. Yeah, good. As you say, it started off with the three of us, me, you and Adam, and then Andy jumped in, and now Ethan's joined the crew. So no, it's been fun. As I say, it's strength to strength since then, and I know you guys met for a pint a couple of months ago, but I wasn't able to make it, so it's good to see you all in person. So obviously I've seen Adam plenty of times, and I have seen Liam once that we were discussing a while ago when we met outside the ground years ago now, but no, it's good to have everyone together.
Of course, yeah, I mean that was, God, it was about 4 years ago now. It's a long time.
Liam was doing a college project and asked if I fancied an interview, and at the time it was before the match. I was desperately hungover, and I said no, and walked away.
I just started crying.
And then I felt bad, so I went back and said, "Come on, mate, we'll do it quick." And that was a good few years ago.
I mean, that's where the love all started.
It was. That was where Behind the Leazes began.
It was. No, I remember when you first hopped onto that streamer, I was like, "Oh my God, it's Rob!" I went, "It's Rubenstein."
I know.
But yeah, we've got Adam here as well. Adam, you've had quite a meteoric rise on YouTube in terms of a Newcastle sort of fan base. You've been above and beyond when it comes to covering different things. It's been quite a year for you, and obviously the podcast added onto it. How does it feel now? We're finally all meeting up, and we're going to have a pint after this as well. Of course, thank you to the Strawberry who allowed us to do this for free. Obviously, we'll pay them back in pints, I reckon. A nice little meal afterwards. But yeah, Adam, it's been a fantastic year for yourself, as well as the club. So you've just grown with the club. So how's it all sort of been for you this past year?
Oh, it's been good. It's not just maybe, it's all our content creators out there. Everyone likes to talk about Newcastle. Everyone's really benefit from this takeover. Just all the fans as a whole. I mean, Mike Ashley and Stevie's are gone. I still can't sink that in there, even though it's a couple months ago. The fact that those two are gone now, this club. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Of course, we're still in the bottom three, but I'm confident with some signings. We'll see what happens in the future. But in terms of seeing all you today, it's great. It's great being up here, get this podcast going. In terms of I'm used to this sort of equipment stuff, so I'm not the greatest at setting things up. So it's obviously great to see all this taking place. But in terms of me, yeah, it's good to be here. So thank you very much.
Fantastic. Your commitment, I think, to getting a nice little bit of content for YouTubers has definitely been recognised. Of course, Eddie Howe is probably quite familiar with you now.
Get him down.
They're doing Secret Santa after this. Well, yeah, you've met Eddie Howe a couple of times. What's he like as a person?
Well, Eddie Howe's great. He stops with the fans, of course. The iconic video when he drives to the bottom of the road. I'm thinking, oh my God, when this waited the whole day for him to drive past, it's been all, he recognised the fan. He came all the way back down. Yeah, afterwards I'm going to take to a restaurant, get something to eat. But in terms of Eddie Howe, he is a really nice bloke. In terms of me, I was really against him when I first heard about him. I was like, oh no, we could have gone with Mike Ashley in charge, but we got someone else in. I'm glad of what he's done though. He's clearly working 12 hours in the training ground all the way in that first week, 6 times in that first week as well during the international break. You see a guy like Callum Wilson come out first game of the season against West Ham saying that the players were not fit enough for that game, so the fact that we got a manager in now that's sorting it out, it's only going to benefit this team. Yeah, he's great to get in. I'm looking forward to see what he can do in the future.
So Eddie Howe will actually be joining us after the podcast for a pint and a bit of food at Strawberry. Allegedly. We've also got Andy here as well, who is basically local TV's handyman for the North East. I would say handyman. He's the journalist for the North East. And to be fair, without you, this podcast probably wouldn't have happened because you're the one who sort of organises everything. So big round of applause for Andy, I must say.
Not to ruin the lights too much.
Of course, yeah. So that'll get
Really confused with the sing clap now.
So you're one of a couple of other people to be wearing a Newcastle shirt today. You joined the podcast at the start of the season. How have you sort of found the first few months that you've been doing it?
Unreal, mate. I'm absolutely loving it to be able to speak about the football club I love with lads that I like. It's amazing. I mean, not to confuse everyone, this is still Behind the Leazes. I know we're behind the Gallowgate takeover now, but no, it's amazing. I love doing it. Love doing it every week, and when we can get on, especially when all 5 of us now are involved.
Of course, yeah. We'll have a few, I think, debates on the podcast sometimes. I think the last podcast in particular was quite funny. We were just talking about referees and things like that. But I think we have just managed to gel quite well, which I really enjoy. Yeah. You seem like a fantastic group of people. But this year I think for Newcastle has been really, really interesting. If you look at January when the first podcast sort of aired, was sent live on Twitter or wherever it was. I don't think we even imagined that there would have been a takeover, the manager gone, the previous owner gone, and I didn't think we'd be sitting right at the bottom of the table. Well, actually, you know what? I think we might have probably assumed that, but it has just been a really, really weird year, and we'll start from the end of last season. Joe Willock was on white-hot form. He just scored again. I think it was the 8th consecutive game. He beat Alan Shearer's record of goals in consecutive games, and we finished 12th somehow. With relegation looming. I think we've won 2 out of the last 20 odd games before that. Adam, I'll come to you first. Looking back then and looking to now, were you feeling more optimistic about what was to come then, or now that we've had a takeover, new manager, that sort of thing?
Well, now obviously, despite the fact we're 19th in the table, yes, performances of the pitch were definitely downgraded from last season, I would say. But the fact we've got new owners and now there's ambition at the club. On the mic, actually, we're just going to say more our 12, 13 still every single season, just try and scrape those results in. I mean, that's not how you win a football club. That's not how you support a team. Support a team all my life for what? Just mediocrity. Under new ownership now, again, it's not just any ownership, it is the PIF, a man that's stably the biggest owners in football history, really. So. Yeah, we'll see what happens, we'll see how much they're willing to spend in that first transfer window. But the point is now we have ambition. We never had that in the last 14 years under Mike Ashley. So, yes, performances wise, I think we're worse than last season. But the fact is, we've got a future now. So, we'll see what happens. The players, they do need to go, some of them, I'll be honest. That's what's going to happen. They'll see the errors in the team and they'll amend them. But the point is that, we've got a good future ahead of us and I'm looking forward to it.
You did like a little sort of keep or sell video on your channel. Yeah. Which players, because I'll be honest mate, I've not got the time to watch it, I've just been so busy. What sort of players did you want to keep and which ones did you want to sell on?
Well, you can have
to keep
a channel and watch it.
I'd encourage everyone to do that as well. Just for a little preview before I go and watch it after this, what players would you keep and which players would you sell?
Well, in terms of the full squad, I think I said sell 2/3 of them. So I keep Sir Maximum Wilson. That's about it really. There's a couple of other ones in there, but most need to go, to be honest.
Did you keep Joe Linton?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about him. 100% Joe Linton. He's been great last few games. Joe Linton, I'm glad to see him finally playing well because he's always one that everyone's always slagged off. He's the one that always seems to get most of the criticism. So it's good to see him play well. He's definitely saw an opportunity, he's took it. So fingers crossed he keeps going, because he's been by far the best player on the pitch under Eddie Howe.
Rob, when I say richest club in the world, who would you think of in May, let's say?
Man City, probably, yeah.
When I say richest club in the world, towards Christmas time, which club would you think of?
Newcastle United, believe it or not.
Newcastle United.
It's wrong. It is wrong.
I think the greatest, possibly most controversial in other fans' eyes, takeover in Premier League, if not football in history, of course. Newcastle United are the richest club in the world.
Yeah.
It feels weird saying that.
It does.
Let's go back to the night where it all happened. It's like a thing on Crime Watch. Let's go back to the night where this happened. But I know you three were here. Ethan, did you manage to get yourself to Newcastle?
No, I was sadly in Manchester for it, but it was quite emotional, to be honest with you. Because obviously I saw it breaking on social media and watching Sky Sports with Keith Downey, and it was quite special seeing the reporters as well, quite emotional, which was quite nice to see. But I live with a housemate who's a Derby County fan, so it was quite it's quite a difference between the two clubs at the minute, one becoming the richest in the world, and at the time Derby going into liquidation and having many points docked off. But nonetheless, apart from my housemate's sadness, it was lovely news to see, and I didn't believe it was really ever going to happen.
It happened so quick.
It did.
It was the agreement, the piracy stuff was sorted, and then it was just like done. It was so hard to take it all in. And I mean, I think we're pretty much still taking it in now. I mean, going into January.
There were loads of like different little sort of things that would come out. This was like even you look at the first sort of takeover attempt that Amanda Staveley sort of front runned, and it was with, I can't even remember who it was, but you looked at them sort of things. It was, it's a matter of 24 hours, it's a matter of 48 hours when this would happen, and then it would just sort of all fizzle out, and that's probably what ended up.
It was such a strange time, because as you say, the amount of times it's supposedly going to happen and wasn't happening, and then as I say, we would sit and talk about it, or you talk about our friends, and people were just at the point now where every time it was rumoured, everyone was like, I'm not paying attention to it. And then this one started going out, and when it first happened, I was like, I'm not listening to it. I was like, I can't do it again, it's getting so upsetting. And then this particular time got closer and closer, and I remember I had to drop Sarah, my girlfriend, off at the gym, and I was like, I don't know if I can take it. I was like, I need to be at that stadium when this happens. I was like, I might have to get the bus, to be honest. And I was like, oh, go on, I'll tell you, we'll go. And then literally in the car it went off. I was like, right, I'm going to have to go now. You have to make your own way home. I need to get to the stadium. And literally just over my shoulder up there, I was there with the lads, drinking a few cans, celebrating, and just surreal, to be honest. I'm so glad I went. And I'm so glad I took lots of pictures of it as well, because it was one hell of a night.
Of course, it was
amazing. Like, just this sense of, it was just, you felt united again. Like, it wasn't fans arguing between each other, just everyone was like smiles on their faces. And I remember Johnny Blue Hat getting on Bobby Robson's statue, started playing Local Hero. It was just amazing to see everyone with smiles on their faces, just everyone was having a good time, and it's just, I hope more to come when we start winning trophies in a few years. It'd be amazing.
I know, you three were there. I was in Manchester just like you, Ethan. How long did you guys stay there for? Because surely, we saw people partying until the late hours of the night just at St James's. There's that fantastic picture that was posted on Twitter. It's all the fans with the sign illuminated. It's fantastic. But how long were you guys there for? Did you just leave sort of quite soonish, or?
I was there at about 10 o'clock, and even then it was still going on. So
I was about to say, I just saying that we just going to go on all night. It was just amazing. Like, I love that Sam Fender was saying that people were just coming up to him and handing them cans. But like you mentioned before as well, the likes of Keith Downey and Pete Graves, who've been through all this, and I mean, bless them, the amount of stick they've gotten over the last few years. And then for them, you could see how emotional they were for it to go through. I mean, Pete Graves is a Newcastle fan. I don't think Keith Downey, obviously, I don't think he is, but it was amazing for them, and just to see them, it just felt like, the sense of, like I said, the sense of community, it like almost like instantly came back. It was just I don't know, everyone, you go into the ground now, you can see, yes, we're in the position we are in the table, but when you go into the game, everyone's a bit more like, well, we could actually do something today, and it's brought that actual hope back again, and it's just, I'm in love with it, and I'm certainly ready to fall back in love with this football club. So I think, not just myself, I think a few people kind of fell out with it because of the way it was being run.
Well, I got a taxi from Central Station last night, and we went past St James's Park, and the lights were on, and the sign was there, and I just looked, and you know, as daft as it sounds, it looked and it felt quite hopeful.
Yeah.
You know, you look and you go, God, there must be some buzz around this place, you know, on a match day, or even today, it just feels a bit different. You know, like coming to the Strawberry, it's just fantastic. But you know, you look forward to January, but I think the main problem is now, are we going to stay up or not? You know, we'll look towards the start of the season when Steve Bruce was in. It just wasn't good enough, was it? You know, Andy, what did you think of the performances? You know, pre-takeover, you know, present Bruce time, that sort of thing.
Well, put it this way, I think if that was still what we were like, and still under Bruce, still under Ashley, I think I would be saying right now, yeah, we are going down with the position we're in, but the way we are now, I'm more than confident that we're going to stay up. I've mentioned this a lot of times, that the teams around us now, they're starting to slow down, drop the points. I mean, yes, we're 19th, we're only 3 points from getting out of this relegation zone, and if we go about it in the right manner next month, I think we'll be up and out of it by the end of January. I'm actually quite confident in that. But like you said, playing under Bruce, it was just like you didn't want to watch, and it was more like, when's this going to end? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know if you lads feel, but the one thing I have noticed is Maxie hasn't been the same player since Bruce left. I think he took it quite to heart when Bruce left. I think he quite liked him as a manager.
On his Twitter post.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know. Maxie, for me at the minute, it's just this like, since the takeover has happened, just hasn't been all there. He hasn't looked like he's had the same heart to play for the club, and it's been quite annoying. And I mean, I don't think for 1 second he's a bad player. I just think, I don't know if he just needs a kick or whatever to start playing well again.
I think in the long run, I think Eddie Howe would be a better manager for St Maximin, in the sense of it's more attacking football. I think under Steve Bruce as well, a lot of the times he was up front with Callum Wilson in a 5-3-2. I didn't like him in that centre position. No, he's better as a winger, and I think under Eddie Howe, when he'll be getting more chances in the future, hopefully he'll have better players around him, giving him the ball, giving him that space to run into. He will grow again and get back into the form that we know he can get into.
You talk about like man managers, and obviously St Max like Steve Bruce, and people also talk about Eddie Howe as being a man manager as well, but in a slightly different way. I do wonder whether Steve Bruce probably let the rope run for St Max and what he wants to do. Do you want to defend today, Maxie? Not really. Oh well, do whatever you want. I think Steve Bruce probably just let him do whatever he wants. Now Eddie Howe's come in, I think he will still be a really good man manager, but a lot more like specific and about, this is your game, that's how to improve. That's his man management. It's not just, I'll be nice to you for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if maybe Eddie Howe might be asking him to do a little bit of defending and maybe doesn't want to, but I do agree that in the long term, for not just the club but St Max as a player, we're playing better football, and he will benefit more with Eddie Howe.
But look at Joe Linton.
That's opposite, isn't it?
The man management that we've seen already with Joe Linton, the way he's been playing under Howe. I mean, I can't quite pinpoint where he's actually playing position-wise, but I'm really
defensive centre mid.
Well, I'm like really confident he's all of a sudden the best at it in the league. His graft is just, I mean, we're stuck as Newcastle fans, 4 players that give 110% every game when they come out. Joe Linton is doing that right now.
That's staggering though, how long it took for, obviously Steve Bruce was told he was brought in a £40 million forward, so you played him as a forward, but surely after a time, 2 years working with Joe Linton,
well, the bloke's category inept. You can see he knew nothing about the modern game. That's why he's had so many problems with the clubs he's been at. Like, Villa fans hated him before he left there. I'm sure.
And the big saying there was playing players out of position.
Well, yeah.
And maybe Joe Linton actually falls under that category of
They played him They played him as a striker. They played him on the left wing. They played him as a
should have played him as centre back. Maybe that's great.
Well, that's the thing with Joe Linton. I think with a lot of players at Newcastle, people tend to look at stats quite a lot. And I think with Joe Linton, of course, he's not the best player statistical when you look at goals, assists, things like that, but like you said, he grafts, and that's like the main thing.
And he's strong.
He's
got
very
this
strong.
skill to get over. I think he's a number 8, and I honestly think that. I think he's a box-to-box midfielder.
Well, it reminds us of Fellaini. He used to play as like a centre forward sort of striker at times, and then he ended up being a defensive midfielder towards the end of his career.
You look like he's starting to look like he's adding end product bits to his game as well. He's not afraid to have a shot outside the box and stuff. Which under Bruce, by the way, I think the whole team lost confidence in that. We would never hit like a ball from outside the box. I mean, Shelby's been doing it the last few times he's played, and everyone he's hit, he's looked close. And he's been unfortunate with the likes of Ramsdale and Schmeichel, both excellent keepers. Well, funny enough, Alisson was the one he eventually beat, and Alisson's hand in hand probably the best keeper in the league. But again, Shelby as well, man management wise, the Howes came in, all of a sudden Shelby's like this rejuvenated player and almost looks like the same player that was playing in 2018, the player that we all maybe thought was unlucky not to get in the World Cup side. And it's just, this is why I've got every confidence we're staying up, because I think players will see how we're playing, how players are getting dealt with. I think seeing the ground getting sold out every game and how bouncing the ground is, who wouldn't want to come and play at this football club? And especially if we're getting into the summer, still Premier League, have the Premier League status, I think we're laughing and we'll have a really good
I think the optimism is lovely. and I get it. But I know we're going, well, Joe Linton's playing fantastically well, Shelby looks rejuvenated, etc. Joe Linton and Shelby have only managed to get a goal each so far under Eddie Howe. And the problem, you can have decent individual performances if you're in the but I come back to it and I say it every week, if you can't defend and you shit goals in every single week, at least 2 goals a game,
So
it doesn't matter.
with that being said, you know, we can give John Joe Shelby a lot of praise. These past 2 games in particular, 2 goals that probably were his fault, especially the one against Liverpool when Salah scored that second goal.
Clark.
That was
sorry,
so we'll get on.
I'm jumping ahead now.
We'll get on to Kieran Clark in his defence, in just the defence as a whole. But I think John Joe Shelby, you know, he's been, I'd say, good, really good, not fantastic. With Eddie Howe coming in, of course, you know, it is John Joe Shelby still. He does still like a long ball. He likes to have a shot from outside the box, but you know, when he plays, is that sort of defensive midfielder who, you know, wants to pass it around the back a little bit more.
Was Shelby in your team to keep or sell in your video?
No, I only did that one about
After this, I will be.
It was cute, but about a month. If you asked me that a month ago, I would have said so. I mean, at that point, it's final sort of game that the Steve was getting out with the squad, and he was in under 23. He scored for a couple of the games. Shelby, I actually felt like was finished, but ever since Eddie Howe came, I don't know what's happened. He's just seemed like, oh, you know what, I'm John Joe Shelby, I can still do this, and he's been really good.
With that being said, though, if an offer came in for John Joe Shelby, let's say from Brentford or something like that, would you guys want Eddie Howe or whoever it was that oversees the transfers to accept that offer? Let's say it's about £6 million.
It doesn't matter about what money comes in now, because they've got enough money to spend anyway. If the idea is, if you get players gone, it's because you need to clear out and you're going to bring new ones in.
Well, with that being said, just in general, if a transfer offer came in for Shelby,
is Shelby good enough to stay as part of this new year?
Exactly.
He's not the first one to go out the door, is what I would say. There's other players
who would be
you get
your
rid of first.
first?
Oh, I think the likes of Kieran Clark's the first.
Jeff Hendrick.
I forgot he was even still here for a bit. Eddie Howe doesn't like him, doesn't he?
Has he played under Howe at all?
He played 5 minutes in the last game, didn't he? Come on against Man City.
He's got FA Cup against Cambridge written all over him, starting lineup number 16 on the right hand side.
Well, that game has got all over it last hurrah for a couple of players, I think. Like we mentioned, Kieran Clark is shown not good enough to be at this level. I mean, I think it was Paddy Power said about it's offensive to schoolboys to call it schoolboy era, and it's just is. And I mean, Dubravka, I wholeheartedly believe Dubravka's a good keeper. I just think Kieran Clark's absolutely done him over by forgetting he was a footballer.
I would love to know if anyone on the Gallowgate heard Dubravka shout. I'd be really interested to know what's gone on there.
Because they've both gone for it, haven't they?
What, the both? haven't gone for it. I think.
Well, Dubravka's sort of moved with the ball, I think is the thing, and then Clark's just stopped, and then Dubravka stopped, and then the
I
ball
think
goes in.
Clark's got to be very sure that his keeper's going to get it, and this is what I mean though, as you say, schoolboy error, like, just head it out. Unless his scream is literally that loud that the whole stadium heard it, then you should still head it anyway. Like you've got to know that he's coming, and if you're unsure, you're better off heading it out. Which again, I think it's confidence as well. I think Clark's been absolutely slated in the last game. He probably didn't think he would ever play again, because I don't think Eddie Howe wanted to play him again. It's only because we had that many injuries. It was either we'll play Joe Linton or Hayden at centre back, or we'll have to play Clark. So I don't even think Clark is confident. He knows he's got no confidence from the fans. He knows he's got no confidence from the manager, and he's just had a brain freeze. But unfortunately, that's why he wasn't getting played, because he isn't good enough.
But do you know what? I always quite rated Kieran Clark before these last few games. As like not as the starting centre half, but he's a decent servant when he comes in. I was all right. Kieran Clark's in the lineup today. I'm fine with that. But these last few games, and his confidence has come a shot.
See, I think with that, you know, I did like him until maybe about last season. I think you look at the way that Rafa played, or the way that Steve Bruce played, and I don't want to dwell on these two managers for a long time, because of course, you know, they're in the past now, but you know, we like to play with five at the back. Then, you know, we're sat back quite a lot. So I think, you know, now that we've got a little bit more possession of the ball, a lot of these different sort of cracks are sort of show with players like Kieran Clark, even John Joe Shelby at times. You know, we'll get on to Jamal Lascelles as well. Well, actually, you know, we'll talk about him now. I want to talk about the captaincy first and foremost, actually. Would you guys, after January, want to have Jamal Lascelles as captain of Newcastle, or would you want someone else to? No.
At least Callum Wilson, I would give it to Callum Wilson now, to be honest with you. Listening to that football podcast that he does with Michaela Antonio, the way he speaks about the club, he gets it. I think he's very much becoming an adopted Geordie. I think he had the Norwich game, didn't he, as captain? I would like to see him take it, but maybe, I mean, we don't know who we're going to bring in January. Say if we brought Conor Cody, and I would maybe just give him the band straight away. He's shown he's a good captain at Wolves, maybe if him or Tarkowski came in, but I would maybe like to see a captain in the centre of the park, someone that's in the middle of the pitch. I think that's why we get lost in translation a lot of the time when the captain's so far back. You need someone that's going to communicate well. I think that's going a bit of a miss at the minute.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I was actually going to throw Dubravka out there, but you know, I think it sort of completely goes against what you were saying.
Joe Linton.
Well, I mean, yeah, if he can shout enough, and you know, if he knows enough.
He's got a bit of aggression now, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. You know, you mentioned he's strong before, so why not?
You know what it is? I know we talked about obviously St. Max's performance going down. I know we already spoke about Joe Linton, but at no point did any fan say that they didn't want Joe Linton to do well.
No.
I think people are there to be criticised when they're not playing well, that will criticise Clark, and then the opposite will reward and say good things about Joe Linton. I don't think any fan ever wanted him to do badly, and it's such a great thing to see him doing well now. And I've heard people genuinely talking about, is Joe Linton the next captain? And I mean, I know, it's like, again, we're talking about what did you think this time last year and stuff. I mean, last year you wouldn't have even thought he'd still be here, probably, never mind in the running for the captaincy.
I always assumed a loan deal to Turkey would be
Well, I'm very happy for him.
Well, me and Ethan were fortunate enough with the uni we went to. We got to go to a talk where Shearer spoke, and Ethan stands up and he asks Shearer about Joe Linton, what he thought of him, and this was when Joe Linton was number 9. Callum Wilson wasn't there yet. No. And Ashton Shearer just basically said he felt sorry for him, because the fee we paid for him was never his fault. I don't wholeheartedly believe there's ever been 40 million spent. I kind of think that was a bit of a facade. I don't think that was ever the fee paid. But for the player we're getting at the minute, you'd maybe start thinking about paying that bit.
Sorry, going off that question I asked, I said, would Shearer do a better job as in Joe Linton's position as a lone striker in a 5-4-1, getting that much? How much better would he do? And he said, put it this way, I wouldn't want to playing there. I could. So a big problem of it was the system.
Yeah.
It wasn't going to treat any striker really. Never mind someone who's not actually a centre forward very
young
well.
as well. Bear in mind, I mean, I'm going on FIFA. Joe Linton was a future star the season before we signed him. He was like he was picked up to be this big player, but the problem was we put him in this torrid system which didn't work for anyone really. I wouldn't like to be I can imagine Messi wouldn't want to play in that. But with Joe Linton to come into a new league, a young striker, and then be like, right, you're up top by yourself, and now, here's Christian Atsu to try and help you out. He was going to struggle. I mean, look, he got a couple of goals, and I mean, he's always shown bits of promise. I mean, that game against Palace last season,
he was fantastic.
Him and Callum Wilson. And he's shown promise. I think right now he's really kicking on. I think he's needed a new manager to come in and work with him, which
it's
is
just like when Mickey first came in. God, how long did it take him to get his first goal? Ages and ages and ages. But I think when he scored and when Joe Linton scores, it just feels so much more like. What's the word? I'm going for heartfelt, but it gets to you a bit more because it's like, God, that's Joe Linton who scored that. That's Miguel Almiron who scored that. You know, maybe he's not the best of players, but
they could do with getting a few more, to be honest. But
I'd love, especially Mickey, to score a couple more goals. You know, because I think with him personally, his finishing's not fantastic. You can't kick the ball 30 yards.
Well, I was going to say, when he kicks the ball, it looks like he's playing with a penny floor, doesn't it? It just doesn't look like he's got any power behind it.
But this is where the question of who would you get rid of is quite a hard one to answer, because you're saying you would like Almiron, you'd like Joe Linton or whatever to score more goals, but a lot of these players like them too. I'm not saying get rid of them too. They don't deliver.
Yeah.
And it needs to be a big overhaul. It does.
See, with that being said, I completely get what you mean. And let's say once again an offer came in for Almiron, I wouldn't be incredibly disheartened to reject the deal. You know, if the offer's there, it's take it or leave it. That sort of
thing. If this consortium have a shortlist ready with players in need at every position, and they can go and attack and get those players in. Obviously, never sell until you've got that replacement there. But if they've got their list and they're confident of if we're getting him gone, and we can replace him and we can genuinely improve, do it. It doesn't matter what player it is, sadly. If they can improve, this team's not good enough. Just improve it.
I like how you pointed to the ground as this team.
Players like Dubravka. I mean, he wouldn't be the number one on people's list to get rid of, but he's filled with mistakes. He's not filled with mistakes, but he does make the occasional one. He has cost us punts a lot of times, but I know he's also won us on occasion. Yeah. But if there's a better goalkeeper available and they're there and we can get them, do it. I like Martin Dubravka. He's decent, but
with Dubravka, I think he's become very sort of settled in obviously the goalkeeper position, but I think he's become settled as the first choice goalkeeper.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Obviously, Darlow played himself out of that this season.
So I think, you know, come January, if we do need to get a goalkeeper in, it's got to be a goalkeeper who's going to be real competition for Dubravka.
Yeah, but it's not just we need to let go of like 3 or 4 keepers before we even.
Well, do that. You know, poor Dan Langley and people like that. You know, they're just in the under 23s doing their own thing. But
I think Freddie Woodman is good enough. So
that is the main discussion now. Is before we go and get another keeper, I think we need to go right. Who's the one we keep, Darlow or Woodman? I think that is the main discussion that everyone's pretty much having at the minute. Because look, in a Premier League squad, you can only have so many people in that squad. I think we went into this season with 4 goalkeepers listed. Yeah. 4 goalkeepers, that's insane. Just quote Peep Show, the Nan reference.
Jeremy.
But no, I think goalkeeper-wise, I think it's probably the last position on the pitch I would maybe concerned.
I would agree.
Some are definitely looking at options.
But if, like we said, someone comes in for one of these players and we've got someone lined up, it doesn't matter what position we're prioritising. If it's an improvement, go for the improvement.
Well, the main
but the goalkeeper's not right.
Only favour Ashley's done for us is by not spending. We've now got like
a war chest
to was it 600 million they could spend? I read. I mean,
it depends on sponsorship as well, doesn't it?
So big shout out to Tifo Football, big fan of them. They made a video about you know how much we can spend. And there was a new rule just passed about sponsorships literally in the past week, wasn't there? So, let's say we drop Fun 88 as our kit sponsor, and we get Saudi Aramco, that oil company in.
Do you think we could be in for another gaffer tape job?
Possibly.
Last one was Virgin Money, wasn't it, when Northern Rock went? I think you could take a shirt to get that coming up.
You could,
I think that was still Northern Rock, and then before that was who else did it happen with? Did it happen with the one before went to Brown Ale? Who was the
NTL or was it?
No,
the one before that? Green.
It was the ale, I think, that got
Green
taken over, but it just looks ridiculous. Like, surely you would, rather than just tape over their shirts, you would give them an.
I don't care how the shirt looks.
Yeah.
As long
it's how it plays like a head shirt.
Massive fan of football shirts. It's killed us.
Yes.
I haven't bought a Newcastle shirt since the season we were in Europe. I've got that home shirt, and long sleeve, by the way. Can we please get long sleeves back?
Rather than turtleneck high visors.
Can I not buy them anymore? Can you?
No. I might actually got rid of long sleeve. The last season we had long sleeve shirts was the season we came back up from the championship. That's the last season, because I remember Isaac Hayden used to have that light blue away shirt we had. Sorry, this is how much I love football, kids. But no, I don't want one with some crap like Chinese betting company. There's my chances of ever winning their sales on, by the way. I don't want it plastered like a betting company. I want something like. Something that's connected to the club. Aramco, I'm fine with that.
Well, there's been a lot of crypto companies and stuff like that. I wouldn't want like an NFT on my shirt or anything like that.
The days of having sponsorship that means quite a lot to local people and communities. If you look at Huddersfield with the Paddy Power thing, when they agreed to take away the sponsorship, that was something that was nice from a bigger company. But the days of Brown Ale, the days of local sponsorship, they don't matter too much anymore. It's all about the investment.
Just back to sponsoring things like that. When we talk about the transfer budget with a sponsor like that, of course it comes from, let's say, Saudi Arabia, where
it'll be someone they've invested in.
But they'll chuck in another 500 million for their sponsor to be on the kit, and that goes onto the transfer kit in a way, and it helps us with financial fair play. It means that we've made, let's say we spent £500 million, we've still made 200 million.
This is the thing, because at the end of the day, our owners have got as much money as they wanted, and they could go to Heineken, who I think own Brown Ale now, and just go, look, mate, can we just put that on our tops for free, or do you want to just hire us a few quid and we'll just use it, because we just want to be nice.
We'll sell Heineken in the ground.
Yeah.
We can have a kit sponsor.
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
and it's the same with the same with the sponsorships on the stadium. Obviously, I don't think anyone particularly wants to see them. But then it goes the other way as well, and it's that we could go to Heineken, we could get Brown Ale back, or we could go to someone else who's actually going to give. It's all financial fair play. Sure. If we could just spend whatever the hell we wanted, then we would just go to Heineken and go, can we just have a few bottles and a free logo for our tops? Because we've got enough money, we don't need the money, it's just the financial fair play. But I am interested to see what happens with the stadium, the logos, the name rights to the stadium, which I hope never happens. But if someone is offering 100 million for our transfer budget to put a new sign on the stadium, I think most fans would take that. The name itself, I think, is a much bigger. I think you would change.
You would keep St James's, but maybe like whatever company name at St James's Park rather than full blown. I'm not even gonna.
Well, the difference now was when it was Mike Ashley, it was going to become the Wonga Stadium, which supposedly Wonga actually said we'll pay for you to not call it that.
Yeah. Well, they called it the Sports Direct Arena for a bit.
They did.
Oh, yeah. Said we weren't gonna.
Beef it out.
We'll call it that arena. With that being said, improvements to the stadium already. Adam, you saw the signs went down. What was that like when you were at the ground, the moment that the last signs were going down? Surely it was fantastic.
Oh, it was a great feeling. Every time you go to St James's Park, you don't realise you watch videos by how big those signs actually are. They're so in your face. The one on the TV, it's just bigger than me. It's so but yeah, it's good to see him go down. Sports Direct. Sorry.
Keep it out again. Keep it out.
Well, he's out of the club now, so I don't mind it as much.
What I'd love is, because you can still sort of see the outline of the words. Oh, after I was going to say, get the little jet washer on, like
good.
washing.
You know what I like though? I liked the font that used to be, because they put new Newcastle United over the top, but the older font was nicer and actually fitted more with the stand, if you get what I mean.
It's more centralised as well.
Yeah.
You know, you suffer mostly here.
It's great that these are the things we're comfortable right now. We're not like, oh,
We're sitting 19th in the league, but we need a new font.
Can we get the jet washer on this? But no, it's nice. It's like little improvements. You know, Eddie Howe straight away. Can we have a fitness room in the changing room?
Yeah.
Yes. In a day or two, that's been sorted, and we've got a fitness thing now. It's just all these minor little improvements. In the past year, what do you think has been like the best improvement? Obviously, post takeover, we'll say the best improvement of either if it's the ground or something to do with the team and things like that.
Well, I've got a good one. It's quite a salty one, and I think I've mentioned it on our chats before. But it's so funny, you know, because when we started the podcast, it was before the takeover, and we were coming on and we were talking, and we're all just like, oh God, with this again. And then I remember we played that Wolves, I think it was possibly the last game, and it was literally the lowest I've felt as a Newcastle fan in ages, just because the games were terrible, and as I say, just the community around the stadium, going to the games, like people weren't bothered. You didn't want to buy the shirts that Andy mentioned 5 minutes ago. You didn't even want to buy the pints, and then just that takeover and just that moment of being out there with all the fans. I mean, Tesco must have been an absolute killing in that shop, the amount of cans they got bought. But there's everyone out there celebrating together, and as I say now, it's just, and we're sitting 19th in the league, and we're still smiling and we're joking and we're doing this. Yeah. It's the community, it's the back together again, going to the games. Everyone's happy to be there. We've won one game this season, and we've almost sold out the Cambridge Cup game in about 2 days. Yeah. And it's literally just it's the love is back from what had gone.
4-0 down against Man City in the 90th minute, and we're still waving the flags, just like the little sort of sound. Waving the flags.
Not white flags though.
Yeah. Black and white flags. Never surrender. But yeah, you know, cheering for Eddie Howe. It's clear that we're supporting him. Everything is just really, really looking up at the moment, and it's coming into the new year. What is the sort of thing that you guys, apart from transfers, let's say, just something involved in the club, what's one thing that you would all like to sort of see in this next sort of year or so?
Us catching up to speed with like the rest of the Premier League teams, and bringing in a football director, and just running like a modern football team like we haven't for. Well, we have never caught up to speed with other Premier League teams, and having all these people in different roles. And I mean, Shola's loan liaison officer, I don't know if he still is or not, but you look at the loan deals we've had, nothing's really came of them. I mean, Adam Armstrong was absolutely smashing it when he went to the likes of Coventry on loan, came back here, did nothing. It's just been down to poor management from not just even the manager we've had in, like from above. So to have people in specific roles in charge of player recruitment, player development, it's just, I'm looking forward to that. And maybe, I mean, I don't know how soon, I know Amanda wants it done, but I don't know how soon we'll build a new training ground. But I think we can stay up. In January, I'm confident we can buy our place in the Premier League. That's why I'm confident, because it's took a while to realise, but we've actually got this money to play around with in January, and actually sign people in a January transfer window and not just loan them in. To go from there, yeah. And I mean, and then in the summer, if we've still Premier League play, like a Premier League team, that can improve massively. And I think the only other thing I'll say as well, I know I've banged on about this probably every podcast we do, communication. Like, we've never had direct communication from Fame, from the owners to fans, apart from a rubbish statement that we got in the end of August apologising that we didn't have any funds to sign one. To only sign Joe Willock. Yeah. Well, we've never seen the Genie Wijnaldum or the Mitrovic money or the Andy Carroll money, for God's sake. But it's just, and now we've got like Murdad coming out and saying like we're never interested in this bloke to be our director of football. Like, it's just coming out and absolutely like rubbishing talks, and it's just like, which is somehow giving us weird confidence that we're signing everybody on that we've been linked with, because he hasn't came out and said we're not.
No, we're not signing Kylian Mbappe. And what about yourself? 2022 is on the horizon. We might still, we might not. But what are you sort of looking forward to on just a footballing, like a football club sort of basis?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing more wins, that's for sure. In terms of the club itself, I'm just looking forward to seeing good football players come in and seeing actual talented individuals playing at start 11. I know there's some in there.
We've got Joe Linton.
We've got some good players. There's players in there, just dead good, really players that shouldn't be playing Premier League football. I'm not going to say that they are, the fans know they are. But I'm just looking forward to seeing the releases coming out, saying this guy's he's been released, he's not getting a new contract. I'm just looking forward to seeing that. I'm just looking forward to seeing football players that are willing to put 100% in, and under these new ownership, regardless of whether they're good or not, it's going to happen. So we'll see how things go. I'm just glad this football club's back to where it is, because on the Mike Ash and Steve, God, that was painful.
Yeah, very painful. I mean, you've been to every game this season, haven't you? So you've had to really suffer in first person. So fair play to you for your efforts. Rob, what about yourself? Looking at a sort of back of house stance, what would you like to see sort of coming in this next year or so? Because obviously we can make as many quick changes as you want, but there are also some things that will take time and might even be in the pipeline now.
It's really tough to look past the right now, I'll be honest. I mean, as I say, there's loads of stuff. I think Andy said it well when he said that these clubs are a step ahead of us and what they've done in the last 14 years. We've done very little. Again, I know it's not football related, and I'm going back to the club and its community, but like legends programs and all these kind of things that would just be great. They're all. I mean, I go and watch Supermac do his chatting the dog and parrot before the game because it's just fun. Like people go down, you see the same guys, you have a chat. I'd love to see the club do like functions where you can go and you can listen to Shearer, Rob Lee, anyone, and if it's before the game or even in Shearer's bar, get it changed to Shearer's bar. I said that without even trying, but in their before game, I don't know, have someone down, John Beresford, I don't know, doing a little chat and gets you back in and before the game, all that kind of stuff would be great. But as you say, it's hard to not look past January, to be honest. Again, we're talking long term now, and if it did all go wrong and we did go down this season, it would be very sad. But I will be much more sad if Ashley was still here and it happened, because I think it would be game over then. I think now we've got the back end that if it does happen, it's going to take us an extra 2 or 3 years to get where we want to try and go, but at least it's not going to be over.
Of course, and you mentioned like the sort of legends meetups, things like that. I feel like we've been lacking with that just forever. Why does it seem like every other club does it?
We need like ambassador rules. I'm dying for Kevin Keegan to get back in.
His ambassadors. Kevin
Keegan, by the way, that was 13 years ago. He was on ESPN saying the club would go nowhere under Ashley. He hated the bloke. I mean, I was here for when Keegan had his first game back in charge at the ground. I think it was against Bolton, maybe. And like everyone had the King Kev shirts, and you're getting like King Kev printed on the back of the shirts and all that. And it's just like you want to see the likes of those people in like the director's box and stuff like that. Like Keegan, Shearer. I know Shearer has his obligations on the weekend, but even seeing him coming back for the Norwich game, he was there for the.
Oh, was he?
Where he was part of Amazon's coverage. It's just
crazy outside the green.
The Burnley game.
It's just class to see them all coming back and having a part of the club, because I mean they've all been basically exiled because they all didn't like Ashley.
So, well, when you go on like stadium tours at the grounds, people often ask the tour guys, why is there nothing for Shearer? Why is there nothing for Peter? The Shearer statues outside the ground.
I know.
It's not even on like the actual grounds.
That's getting moved, isn't it?
I think Shearer said that they are moving it, so wherever it goes, exactly, good, fair play.
Plonk it in front of like the 6-yard box at the Gallowgate.
It's just celebrating. What about you, Ethan? There's going to be a lot of stuff happening in the next year, but what sort of thing would you like to see the most?
I think everyone's covered it pretty much. It's a balance of having a proper working football club, and by having a proper working football club with everything in place, you will then get results and it'll work. You can't just it doesn't work just going out and buying all the best players. You need to have a proper structure in place. And also, the other thing is community stuff. I think we've covered it there brilliantly. Statues, bringing back heroes, all that kind of thing just means a lot to people, doesn't it? And sometimes those little things with community, because that's what it's about at the end of the day. It's about community, it's about tribalism, isn't it? It's about all being together and loving the same things. If you can restore that pride and whatever, I think everyone's going to be. I mean, we're all right now. We're relatively happy.
Well, I know.
Look at the you say how our fans are like now. 4-0 down at City, and like how the fans were at the end of the game. No other club in the country would do that. And I'm not buying that the Crystal Palace have got better fans than us, by the way.
That's at home as well.
And absolutely bouncing. They're 4-0 down. I mean, I don't agree that maybe with the scoreline. I think the second half, yes, but I think the first half in that game, I don't think we deserve to be out of it. I mean, we all know that was a stonewall penalty. I think. The few City fans that have had sky blue tinted glasses on, saying that it's because Edison, he was already there, but his defenders take the ball away. You're right, oh, right, so it's still
waffling.
Yeah.
Don't get me onto these bleeding referees.
Right, so this is a podcast about the past year, so we'll leave the referees to the role behind the Leazes, but
that'll need its own podcast.
Behind the Leazes, the referee rants.
Me and Ethan pretty much did that last week, didn't we? Poor Adam was just having to sit there and listen to me and Ethan just rant at each other about referees.
Conspiracy theories, corruption.
The Toonfoil hat conspiracy.
Well done.
That could be the name of the new podcast.
I think for me personally, you know, I've mentioned it on the podcast before. Fan forums, you know, with Amanda or Mairdad, you know, if you know Alan Shearer or Kevin Keegan, even Deck, Sam Fender as ambassadors, you know, the last few were a joke there, but you know, just having them, you know, coming to the Strawberry and they get a microphone, pass it round, ask questions. What are you going to do with this thing? What are you going to do with that thing? It's just, I feel like we don't trust people higher up now because of what obviously we've had to endure in the past 14 years or so. So to know that, you know, you'd have them sort of things where you can really sort of get your feelings across, it would be really good. And I think, you know, that's something that I think is bound to happen in the new year, surely. We'll move on to like another little topic. I think we've had plenty of good memories this past year, you know, even though we're 19th in the table, we've had most of the year with Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce, but
and COVID.
And COVID, of course, it's been a really hard year with COVID, but you know, without talking about the takeover, what is your guys' favourite memory from Newcastle United through 2021?
Ooh, I would have to say Willock's last minute goal against Liverpool. It wasn't in front of fans, but because we didn't deserve to have been behind in that game either. Willock had that goal disallowed, which shouldn't have been disallowed, and then for Willock to come back again and just braid in last minute was class.
Do you know how I found out about that? Well, so I played Saturday League, or I used to play Saturday League, and believe it or not, Rob, I was the goalkeeper.
Wow.
Yeah, 5'6". 5'6", and I was the goalkeeper.
So 5-a-side?
No, this is 11. This is proper stuff.
I bet you've got a right leap on you though.
I think
he's a goalkeeper with Davies, man.
Like a cat. So what happened was my mates were on the sideline, and I said to them to keep me updated. And they said, "You've scored," but this goal, remember, got disallowed, the first one. And I was like, yes. And then I looked over and I could see them go over. Oh no, how do I tell him? I don't want to distract him because he's playing. And I was like, I can tell, right?
Took the gloves off.
Yeah, so full time happens, I woke up, I was like, I saw your reaction, it's like, it got disallowed, and they went, but you then scored again, Joe. No way, incredible. So yeah, that was a nice moment for me as well, actually, Andy.
Yeah.
I love Willock though, sorry.
Loved it, I still love it.
Like, you can see his attitude on the pitch, he does want to play well. And I mean, maybe in a few years, if he was still at the club playing well, captain shout as well, because the way he's going on, he's shown venting it. There's not few of them, I think, are scared to have a go at Maxi. The way he's been keeping the hold of the ball and just losing it at the minute. You see Willock, there's been a couple of times where Willock's been in great spaces and Maxie's just kept the ball and lost it, and Willock just absolutely loses it with him. And I think we need that kind of competitive drive, the drive to want to do well. That's what we need in this squad, and Willock's got it. And I've got no doubt that he'll find that with a form again. I mean, maybe it might help as well if he got played in position once or twice a season. But
well, that's something, you know, if we can praise Bruce for one thing, he actually played Willock in that.
He did.
You know, sort of number 10 position.
And it worked a treat.
Really helped him.
And like, I mean, obviously, slandering Steve Bruce is the popular thing to do. I understand that.
it's the right thing to do.
But he did get things like that right, and there was a reason he fought Joe Willock.
Graham Jones got things right.
Well, okay, that's a very good point. That is a very good point.
Bruce hadn't heard before at the back before Jones came in.
Yeah, exactly. But
Bruce hadn't heard football.
Willock did perform, and he needs to get back to position. That's one reason.
Well, even in pre-season, this season with Arsenal, it's the exact same thing that he does. He runs on from a counter-attack from the edge of the box and just smashes it into the back of the net. And it's that we need from Willock again. And like you say, if we're playing in the right position again, he's scoring 10 goals a season. And I'm not even over-exaggerating there.
The thing is, because the same people that played Willock at number 10 are the same people that dropped him to the centre midfield in front of a 5-back. So
that's a good point as well.
It's the same people, isn't it? So I hope at some point he gets the opportunity again in number 10, because he does play well there. The only problem is he just doesn't seem to find the space for it to get opportunities off in that position he is now. And he gets a chance, he just kind of panics and just puts it over the ball.
I don't know if you've seen it as well. Maxie wants to play there. Maxie says he prefers to play as a number 10 rather than on the wing.
That's because he means he can jump.
The lads that do the Premier League's YouTube channel stuff, he did an interview with them and he says he prefers to play in the centre of the park rather than out wide, but I don't think he can. I think he hasn't got the final product to play there. I mean, he's great like running past players, but at the minute he's just...
But he's so important. I know obviously he's not a defensive player, but he's so important when we get the ball to him wide, he takes the trouble away from us. He stops the pressure, doesn't he? He takes everyone
The thing
forward.
I don't get though is why is he in the box when we're defending corners and set pieces? I don't get why he isn't on the halfway line. That's one thing we still do. I don't get why everyone... I mean, I know we've got a poor defensive record, but that doesn't mean everyone needs to be in the box. I mean, they haven't got every player in the box, and it's probably why we've had so many clumsy VAR decisions, because we've got our own players are tripping over each other, trying to defend. So, I would like to see Maxi maybe just start sitting on the halfway line, and just because he's got that spring of pace about him, go. And he'd skin the keeper if it came to a one-on-one.
Little things, isn't it? Just that you need to tweak.
Adam, what's your favourite memory from this year? Well, in Newcastle sense.
In Newcastle sense, I would have to say, Callum Wilson's basically kick a Palace away that one, because we were playing so bad in that game. We were 1-0 down. We were just thinking, this game we're going to lose. And out of nowhere, he just hits a bicycle kick out of nowhere. I was lost for words. I couldn't believe it was such a good goal. And then obviously the away went the eruptions.
We'll forget that Graham Jones did take charge of a couple of games.
I was at the Chelsea game. He was in charge of as well. That was.
Results wise, I mean,
speak block from memory.
1-1 against Palace and Brighton. I mean, they're good points in here. Obviously, the Chelsea one was a bit of an embarrassing one. I felt like the way we played. But in terms of his time at Newcastle, he did what he could. He's never really the guy to be in charge of the club, so I guess he wasn't too bad in the 3 games he got.
Yeah, I mean, he's still here now, innit? So he did what he could.
He deserved to win against Brighton, though.
He did well.
Sanchez didn't wipe out.
Don't start off.
Like,
getting dangerously close to referees again.
You know, he went on the podcast when we spoke about the Brighton game, but God, I think we were just all fuming
Right,
Sanchez with that. It was just so annoying. And it did cost us 2 points. And then John Joe Shelby not shooting afterwards when Dan Byrne or whoever Myers Dunk was in there.
That was my pick of Slate and Shelby, wasn't it?
Yeah. and look at him now.
I love him. He's great.
Love him, but still making defensive calamities. What were you going to say, Ethan? Sorry.
No, that's exactly it. But it's quite funny that I had a conversation about highlights when I was slandering.
God, it's just so negative.
Classic Newcastle.
We're 19th. What about yourself? What's your sort of favourite memory from this past year?
If I'm being honest, it's hard to think of anything pre-takeover, to be honest. As I say, I think I think it was two things. I think it was the club was going down a slow but steady hill to somewhere that no one wanted it to be, and Ethan mentioned it. I think that the pandemic as well took out of it. I think not only was I getting a bit dejected with Newcastle full stop, but now the only thing that I did enjoy was at least going to the games and seeing my mates. All of a sudden that wasn't there, so all I was doing was putting the telly on to watch us lose every week. And yes, Willock did come in and save the day, but I think that first game back after not being there for a year as well, that was great. I think even then the atmosphere for us just returning was good, which is why I'm also worried with what's going on right now of will the games continue and will it go behind closed doors, because I do think football without the fans is far worse, and I do understand why they put all the games on the telly all the time so everyone can watch all the football, but it's not the same as the build up to that Saturday, waking up early, sorting out your accumulator, sorting out your fantasy football, going to the game, going to the pub. Like, I'd much rather have one day of football on a Saturday than have a full week of TV.
I was just saying, unless there's a full lockdown, I don't think they could go back to playing the games behind closed doors, because I think people would still turn up at the ground.
Maybe.
I don't think it would work.
Well, we fenced the ground off when COVID was a thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, you get away with it though if you're Man United fans, don't you? And you just storm.
and you just storm the thing and wreck the sky.
Do what you want.
God, that was mad, that wasn't it?
Yeah.
What about yourself, Ethan? You know, it's been a bit of a weird year, 2021, but you know, what's your favourite sort of memory from that?
Last on the line as well every time. It's all everyone's
said everything.
The first game I gone back to was the Southampton 2-2 draw. But it was so nice just to be back at the match with my dad, which I've not done in 2 years.
Lovely day as well.
Yeah,
I was in shorts. I can't remember the last time I'd been at the game in shorts.
But again, all that thing about having it was a lovely day. It was back at the football. It was special. It was walking up those steps for the first 70 years and going, I've really missed this. This is lovely. Because I took it for granted. I think everyone did. I was, especially when I was living up here, I was used to going every couple of weeks, and no one could take that away from me. But now, in a world of postponements and games going behind closed doors, it's like, I really love it, and I really don't want it to be took away again. And every time I go to a game, I think, I'm fortunate today that this is happening. So probably
It's nice having the crowd back here in Big River, Hey Jude, that sort of stuff before the game. I love a bit of Jimmy Nail now, you know. Ever since I started playing Big River,
everyone's living it now.
Always loved the last beat of Local Hero as well. It's and the only thing I miss is Stephen Taylor darting to the strawberry corner. I'm sure he got told to stop it or pack it in or something. But it was just, it's just like, again, we've been talking about community and everything, and it's just like everyone's got the hope again when the ball's getting kicked off, and just the ground is just fantastic to be in. Like, for the neutral now, they must be neutrals are absolutely clamouring to come and watch games here because they know they're going to get a great atmosphere. And I mean, I can't imagine how much tickets they'll be reselling for the Man United game. But I'm fortunate enough to sort my ticket early. So I can't wait to go in. And we've mentioned about I'll believe this, the Sports Direct signs being gone. I think I'm almost going to have a nostalgic feeling, like of when I was first going to the games. And I think my first game was Coventry in the Premier League. I'm sure I mean always debut and all. I was 30. I think I was only 3 when I went to my first game. But surely you're crap. Oh, I knew well then, mate. Don't worry. No, I just can't wait to see the ground looking clean, and I think that's. Well, I mean, a couple of days after the takeover had gone through, they'd had a crane up washing the windows and the ground's been desperate for some TLC for years, and it's nice to see it's getting it.
Well, I've not been for a game for about 2 years now. It was pre-COVID. I think we got beat 3-0 by Leicester. It's when Perry scored and did the celebration.
He did that.
Right in front of the strawberry corner. I'm just there like.
Rory Adler-Shute had an absolute shock.
Yeah, I know that game, didn't he? Madison as well scored an absolute screamer in the first half.
Was it Chowdhury who were always linked with as well?
Chowdhury, because whenever he got on the ball, he would get booed.
And we had
And then
Guy Mendes
Crunch Richie, didn't you?
We did, yeah, because we made 3 subs before half time, and then Shea got injured and had to go off. So I think it was 10 men.
No, it was 9, so I was got injured.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! God, it shows how much attention I was.
No, absolutely.
Oh God, honestly.
Another great memory to talk
Another,
about.
yeah. Negativity. Sorry for clapping again with the microphone.
I'll give a quick shout out for one of my most obscure 2021 moments was the Bastos links came about again in the summer. It was just like
Andre Kramaric and
But
who
do
was
you
it
not
that
think-
we said? Clement Grenier as well.
Yeah, can you, do you not think the new one that's for next month? Eddie Howe was the new Bastos. I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
But he's only just went to Inter because he was like I don't know if he was a really short-term replacement of Lukaku because I mean he's 36 or something now.
I think he was.
But I don't know if you've heard the Arsenal fan that was on Talksport.
No.
He's actually like. He's half made me like Arsenal, with just the way he's
I
about the club.
yeah.
He's going, no, I really like Newcastle, and he's going, what they need to do is do 55-minute Roma for that Tammy Abrams, cousin Tammy Abrams, and he's only just gone there. We're not going to get him.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see that's how like people
Other people as well.
Yeah,
They
like
care about the club doing well.
Seem like they're a big club, and I mean, look. We should be in the Premier League. I mean, when you've got the likes of like West Brom, like bounce, I hate your clubs. They're really annoying us. Is that when West Brom come up and say, well, what's the point in you being here?
It's like Norwich being here now,
You're not going to do
definitely.
it. Well, Norwich, they come up, they're not going to do anything. They just roll over and get their bellies tickled by the top teams and then go down.
Four points.
And then the other one, Fulham, when they come up, they just spend ridiculous. I don't know who's in charge of their recruitment, by the way, because they come up, spend ridiculous amounts of money, and then just go straight back down. They kind of be running on. They're surely running near the mud now. That football club, but
well, it's just parachute payments, isn't it? And then TV money, you get it all back, and then I'll assume
Put it this way, any football club that has a boiler as the mascot doesn't deserve to be in the Premier League.
Well, do you not remember when they had the Michael Jackson statue?
That's
It's
in
in
the
the
football museum in Manchester now. But even then, when you go and look at it, it's just like how it doesn't belong in a football museum. Never mind outside of the football ground.
Well, I think the thing is, just going back onto like what other sort of clubs think of us, I think with us sort of living in Manchester for a time, obviously me and you, we still live there now, you speak to fans of many different clubs, and you know, where I work, I try and fit football into the conversation as much as possible, even though my job has literally nothing to do with football. And all of them say, oh, you used to do an eye for yourselves, aren't you? Takeover thinks like, I'm happy that Newcastle got taken over. So in a way, we are probably everyone's second club, but no one really just wants. No one wants to
Definitely, I think we definitely used to be. I think 20 years ago with the entertainers, I think we absolutely were. I think nowadays it's, I think, just a little bit different. But I do agree, though. I think generally when I've spoken to people who haven't been Newcastle fans who I've bumped into in the pub, Friday, Saturday night in Newcastle, there's probably more people from elsewhere than there is in Newcastle coming up for stag do's and stuff.
Have you ever been recognised for a YouTube channel? Like in a nightclub?
Sometimes, yeah.
Have you, Adam? Have you been like?
Funny every story.
It's funny, to be fair. I think people when they've had a drink are more likely to come over and say hello. But everyone's been lovely, though, to be fair. So.
Has anyone ever bought you a drink or anything?
The only one, I've never even spoken about this before, the only one interaction that wasn't great was I was stood having a drink with my friend and I put my drink down on the side, and it was it wasn't a pub, it was more of a nightclub, so someone tried to pick my drink up and walk away with it. So I just tried to nick my drink. I turned around and went, however, give that back. He took it off us, and I was like, oh, go on, get lost or whatever, with worse language. And he went, but you're Rubenstein? I went, I know I am, but you can't nick me drink. So that was a thing that actually happened, but that's probably the worst of it, to be fair.
Have you ever been gifted anything, both of you, like from fans at all?
I mean, in terms of my worst experiences, it's like it was like a bad incident. It was just when I'm speaking to girls, I get people that come over, and obviously when I'm speaking to a girl, like, don't come over. That's the best way of putting it.
Are you Adam P?
Yeah.
Adam P on the pull.
Adam P on the pull.
That's
Get him on Geordie Shore. You mentioned before you go to the training ground a fair bit. You get certain people that go to the training ground, and I think, you know, we spoke about it on the podcast a little bit. I think people need to sort of behave themselves a little bit. there's one instance when you put a little video on it and as St Maximin's coming down the drive, he stood there like that, like trying to stop him, and he's nearly ran him over. I think on that sort of standpoint, it is a little bit embarrassing, like looking at that and seeing people sort of, trying to force these people to stop. They'll stop if they want to or not, but when they're in fear of getting run over, when there's a possible lawsuit on your hands if anything did happen, it is a bit silly.
He should have just put his foot down from
the biggest problem in the training grounds is that people wait there for hours and they get excited because they see their favourite footballers come out, and obviously they want to meet them. But again, these are human beings, they've got families to go back to. But one thing I know the most is that people are going, Adam, you should have done something about it. I'm not in charge of people's behaviour. I'm not the parents and guardians.
I felt when I heard that, mate.
So we'll call an end to this podcast here, gents. It's been an absolute pleasure having you to the Strawberry once again. Thank you very, very much to the Strawberry for accommodating us. We will enjoy a nice pint downstairs afterwards once we've decluttered all the equipment. But gents, well, you never know. It's a long day for us, so we'll see. But yeah, gents, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this podcast. Of course, it's the first time we've all sort of met up as a nice little group. It's been fantastic. So, Merry Christmas, Feliz Navidad, wherever you are from. Happy New Year as well, of course, because the podcast isn't coming out until probably after New Year. So I hope you all had a good Christmas and an even better New Year as well. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in to Behind the Leazes. We'll be back next time, hopefully another in-person one very soon. But yeah, that's been us. Thanks so much, guys. See you later.
Bye. Bye.